Greetings if you're new to my channel. My name is Wah, and this channel is about my self love journey and sharing what I'm experiencing and learning as advice and comfort to others who might be in similar situations or can just benefit. This topic, this video has not been planned at all. This is literally like my raw reaction to something that I think is highly unnecessary that people do. People with good intentions. So, if you've been paying attention to some of my videos, then you know that I've been talking about taking care of a family member that was traumatized, taking care of a family member that is disassociated, taking care of a family member that was sexually assaulted, and because of the assault, they that family member became disassociated, um, post traumatic distress symptoms. But to clarify, when I was talking about in a previous video about how, you know, people have to be in control of themselves, no matter what type of disorder they have, that video was mainly in context about another family member um, who is not the family member that I'm caring for, but an older family member that utilizes her diagnosis of PTSD, and yeah, to just be a mean person, to say mean things and not be accountable for it. So I want to make that distinction, because I think that someone or some people could take what I said out of context and think I was talking about the family member that I'm caring for, and I wasn't. Um, However, when I mentioned the fact that, if somebody at a worser state, just straight 5150, can be told and talked down to balance and understanding, like, hey, you got to control that or else, because this is what they do to people that don't control themselves. That was a real situation, you know. And I felt like, okay, if this other family member that I was caring for could control themselves in the worst state that I've ever seen anybody, then that other family member who's not in such a bad state could totally stop using her trauma and PTSD as an excuse to be mean to others. Want to clarify that. When talking about the person that I'm caring for, I just was using that as a reference. I had to pause my phone, got a notification, wanted to send a message to one of my beloved best friends. So, what I was saying is that basically the situation with me caring for a family member who's in a worser condition than this older family member that utilizes the PSD to be mean, as an excuse to be mean. I'm going to clarify. Gave me so much insight into how somebody in their worstest state, in a worse state than that other family member, can be brought back down to the space of, you got to control that. You have to control that because you are responsible. In the moment that you feel like you are not responsible, they tranquilize people for that. So somebody who has a way lesser situation, meaning, they're not trying to hurt themselves and they're not trying to hurt somebody else, they can be more responsible and they can control themselves and stop using their trauma and their condition as an excuse to mistreat others. So I just want to clarify that I was talking about a grown ass adult because I didn't want anybody to, I feel like somebody might have misinterpreted that and thought I was talking about a child, unfortunately. And I wasn't. Besides, to use the example that, you know, seeing a child go through a worser situation, a worser mental health situation, gave me the insight to see how this other adult who is in a lesser situation is just making excuses for being mean. Period. And so I wanted to draw attention to that because we have to hold adults responsible and accountable for their behavior. You know, now, of course, if somebody has just completely lost it to the point to where they can't be brought back to balance and they can't be talked down and they really have to, be, you know, tranquilized or whatever, that's a whole nother form of thought. That's a whole nother conversation. And I wasn't even talking about that. So, back to the purpose of this video. This is my raw reaction to people judging what I chose to do with my family member and the person that I was caretaking for when they completely had a psychotic break, mental breakdown, um, because they were sexually assaulted. And there's all kind of dumbass projections that people have to deal with when they're sexually assaulted. People actually think and say the most stupidest shit. I had a dumbass motherfucker tell me or ask me, and this is supposed to be a science of mind metaphysical motherfucker, ask me, did she enjoy it? Maybe she enjoyed it. I want to go through the electricity lines and beat his motherfucking ass because first of all, that's what's wrong with people, is that they think those things in their head because they're just demonically overly sexualized in their psyche because of the pornos, because of the dumbass music, and then they just got all these dumbass thoughts circulating in their dumbass minds. Because nobody should ever think to say that did a woman or a child, or even think that a woman or a child enjoyed being raped, being molested. It is the most retardedest thing I've ever fucking heard. The most second retardedest thing that I've ever fucking heard is people with their just just continued stupid assumptions. So, here we go. Most people whose family members are threatening to harm themselves and trying to harm that family member. This family member was attacking me. This family member was trying to kill me. She was trying to harm me. And she was trying to harm me. And she was threatening to harm herself. Now, of course, I didn't know where this shit was going to go. So I did call the mental hospital just so that I could, prepare myself for how things go or how they work. And they told me that for those type of, for situations like that, you know, um, they go there, they're on a lockdown, um, and they can't see a family member or talk to a family member until they're stabilized. So somebody taking a child, a young woman or a young child that has been assaulted and traumatized, who is completely flipped, lost their mind over it, and putting them in a mental institution around strangers that they don't know, and they can't fucking see anybody that they know until they fucking calm down. What the fuck? I mean, that could be like something that just goes on for too long. And I was like, hold up. I'm not falling for this shit. My family member's birthday is about to be in a couple of days. I was like, she is not about to spend her birthday in a motherfucking lockdown in a mental hospital. Y'all niggas got me fucked up. So I was like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. We went on a trip. We went to nature. We did some shamanic healing. We did some energy healing. And yes, there was improvement. So I had somebody who is just lack of knowledge, lack of understanding, ask me, was she worse after the shamanic healing and the energy healing? Now, I can tell people are not really thinking and using their brains 24/7 because there's just so much going on. So I'm like, okay, well, didn't I just say that before the shamanic healing and energy healing, she was looking like somebody that needed to go to the mental hospital because she was out of control? Did she look out of control right now? So obviously the shit was motherfucking beneficial. Raw reaction. Raw reaction. Because people just don't use their fucking brains half the time. And I know because I be praying to use mine. Was it beneficial? What the fuck would you have done? Cancel, clear, delete. I wouldn't wish that on no fucking body. But see, what people don't understand is what options does somebody have in those type of situations. I bet you her ass would have been calling 911 because that's what the fucking people at the mental hospital said. They said, ma'am, you can call 911 and the police will deliver the child here. Fuck all that shit. That's wrong. You gonna take, cancel, clear, delete, not you, but somebody gonna take a child that has been assaulted by a family member that they trusted and it damaged them and they're completely having a mental breakdown because of it, and go and put them in a mental, call the motherfucking police and have the police take them to the hospital like they're the bad one, like they're the criminal, and then lock them in a room and tell them they better motherfucking calm down or they're gonna get more drugs. Bullshit. Don't. Oh, anybody that ever looks at somebody in that type of situation who chose alternative healing to help their child, who chose something more loving, more compassionate, more nurturing, anybody who ever looks at somebody in that situation with judgment, fuck them. It's stupid. It's stupid. It's uneducated. It's ignorant. Because, first of all, what other option did they have that was humane besides to do spiritual and energetic healing. Everybody got different schools of thought. Everybody's not capable of digesting information. I remember this one dude was mad at his best friend because, for his so-called best friend, because he told him that he had sex with men before, and the so-called best friend was so hot, and then he switched up on him, and I was like, well, what happens when you get your baby? I told him this. I said, what happens when you give your baby regular food? And then they're still supposed to be only on breast milk. They're going to vomit it up. So you just try to give some grown food to a baby. And, anytime you're dealing with information, you need to assess the person that you speak into. Can they handle this level of information? Or are they about to vomit, regurgitate it because they can't digest it because they're not spiritually mature enough to digest it? They're not on that level. And then you got people that just make judgments because they want to control people. I had one lady that I was working with that was like that. I had went to help, to get help because I didn't feel like um only relying on myself. I do think it's very healthy for people to seek help from like-minded individuals. So, and she was like, yeah, don't work with anybody else right now. There's too many people involved. And then after that, I was didn't want to talk to her never again because guess what she said after that? Guess what she did after that? She was like, don't worry nobody else. I need to make sure to know what I'm doing is working. And when there's too many people involved, it's confusing. So then I gave her time. And guess what she gonna come tell me after she had her time by herself? Do everything in your power. Do everything you can do. That's what the fuck I was doing in the first motherfucking place. If you start running your goddamn mouth. People be annoying as fuck. Like seriously. With good intentions though. And you know, like I said, this is my raw ass reaction to people just being just super, super ignorantly judgmental, not understanding somebody else's situation, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But I know for a fact my decision was humane. My decision was very practical. I don't think it's right to punish the victims. Now you talking about somebody that didn't just for whatever crazy reasons because of the condition of their soul, okay, and what they've been exposed to and what has started to grow in them has done harm to themselves or somebody else, and they find themselves, in a type of situation where they need to go to a mental hospital. That's different. They've just crossed some lines, mentally and spiritually and physically. That's different. I'm talking about a child or a young person, that has been traumatized, that has been assaulted. They're not the criminal. They're not the predator. So they don't need to be punished. They need to be handled strategically and with care. And locking them up and putting them on medication is not that. It's that's sending the message to them that they're the one that did something wrong. They're being punished. They're being punished more. That's sending the message to them that the person that's in charge of taking care of them doesn't know what to do besides lock them up like they're an animal, like they're the one that did the wrong. And I've talked to people who were sexually assaulted, and that's what their parents did to them, and they were like, that shit didn't do anything except for make me more angry and more upset. So I know I made the right choice. I don't give a fuck what type of bullshit ass judgments that people have with a certification in not this experience, because so many people are certified in not this experience. They have a certification in not having this experience. And, this lack of knowledge, can result in unnecessary judgments or assumptions. People just need to focus on what they can do, period. And not bring unnecessary energy into the situation. Um, but yes. So that's what this video is about. You know, judging people for doing the best that they could do, is just flat out ignorant. 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 And yes, the family member that I have been caring for did have a complete, just mental breakdown, psychotic break because of the sexual assault. And, I explained to that family member while they were just completely gone. It took a lot of explaining. I was like, okay, this right here, this state right here, this is the state where they put people in the mental hospital and they put them on drugs. I'm restraining you. I'm restraining you with love. I'm restraining you with love. I'm explaining it to you. I don't want to see you go out like that. But this is what happens to people. And it took a lot. It damn near took everything out of me. You know, the fact that my family member was assaulted, and a lot of people, no, well, there was just some dumb people that didn't believe it, which I've already spoke about in another video. Just stupid people, that didn't believe it. Then I got to deal with a family member and the way that they're behaving because of what happened. And it just took so much out of me just to be present in that moment as myself, as a protector, and say, look, this behavior, the next step, this is what happens to people when they're exhibiting this behavior in the society. You have an option. You can control it. I know it's hard. You can control it, or this is what happens to people when they don't control it, And that was a real conversation that I had to have repeatedly as I restrained this family member from trying to hurt me. And did the shamanic healing or the energy healing make it worse? Did it help? It helped tremendously because I'm no longer being attacked. And this family member is not trying to attack me and is not trying to hurt herself. We've stabilized without drugs. So, people need to be really careful with their judgments and what goes on in their brains. I'm not here to control anybody's mind, though. We have a free will, but be careful what you bring to others. Be careful what judgment you bring to others, especially in these type of sensitive situations. It already took so much out of me to deal with the fact that this family member assaulted another family member. It took so much out of me that this family member had a mental breakdown and was trying to hurt me and wanted to hurt herself. And then to just deal with the people that didn't believe it, the people that, so much just judgments. like unnecessarily, you know. And I appreciate, you know, my family members who at first were like on the fence, like, you know, a lot of people, you know, were on the fence, like my mom and my grandma, they were like, okay, like, you gonna put her on drugs, right? You know, like it was obviously the next step course of actions. Like, you know, if they didn't say it like that, well, one of them, my grandma had said it like that, and then I forgot what my mom said, but you know, bottom line is that, you know, even those people, even my mom and my grandma had to acknowledge the difference in the improvement in my family member. They had to. They were like, she's doing better. I see it. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Thank you. Because, you know, we didn't have to go that route. Thank God. You know, like I said, if somebody has a spiritual constitution where they've already crossed a line into darkness, and you know they actually do something to harm a family member in themselves, it's a whole nother situation. God bless them people. God bless their souls. I'm not talking about that kind of situation. You know, I'm talking about what I specifically said. I want to say that because I don't want my words being taken out of context, because you know there's certain situations that are applicable, and then some situations that are just completely different. And yeah, so that's what this video was about. You know, this is for educational purposes. I think that, you know, there's a lot of misinformation out there. People have a lot of assumptions about things that they don't practice because of their spiritual bias, their mental bias, their cultural bias. All of their biases, you know, equate to ignorance and lack of knowledge about somebody else's situation. And yeah, it's just very, very important, you know, not to make assumptions and judgments, because, like I said, my family member is doing much better. In all the naysayers and people that were just like, oh, you know, mental hospital and oh, drugs, you know, they've had to acknowledge the improvement. So, you know, want to say all that. And yeah, that's pretty much what I want to cover in this video. You know, it's just unnecessary and inappropriate to judge, you know, people that are caring for a family member that is mentally, you know, unwell because of something that happened to them, you know. And I'm grateful that, you know, my family member is getting better. And I'm grateful that my family members that were talking shit before were able to come back and acknowledge that improvement, you know, that happened, you know, without their harsh methods, you know. So interesting how somebody could be judged for doing energy and spiritual healing, but then people aren't judged for putting a people in mental hospitals and on drugs. Children, people aren't judged for that. What a world, you know. So yeah, I'm gonna close this video. I think, do I have anything else to say? No. A lot of profanity in this video. You know, if you feel petrified by profanity, apologize. This is my raw reaction to ignorance. You know, yeah. But people out there in the world who have mental perversions because they've been looking at pornos and listening to dumb music and consorting with dumb energy, to actually have a thought that somebody who's been sexually assaulted would actually like that. Maybe they liked it. Mm-mm. Just dumb, stupid. It's a very stupid thing to say or to think. And fact that people do that, the fact that there's men out there that they're just as bad as the predators. You know, they're aiding a predatory mindset. They're aiding a predatory energy. Anytime that a grown man actually thinks that a woman or a child possibly liked being raped or molested, they are aiding a predatory energy. They are cultivating a predatory energy. They are just as bad as the rapist. They are just as bad as the predator, because inside of them, they are saying that this is a possibility that this shit was okay. Because maybe the person liked it. No, that's what's wrong with this world. That's what's wrong with the society, is that you got people thinking stupid shit like that, and ain't nobody checking them. And it's just ridiculous, ridiculous. What's wrong is wrong, you know. Period. They just, that people need to understand that it is wrong for somebody to force somebody to have sex with them. In most cases, incest is not consensual. And even when people are habitually, you know, um, interacting in incest because they're being manipulated and forced, that's still not consensual. It's like people are so just perverted about sexuality that they can't even possibly understand how somebody wouldn't enjoy being raped. So perverted in their sexual energy and sexual consciousness and sexual psyche that they can't understand why somebody wouldn't enjoy being raped or molested. They just can't understand it. And that's what's wrong. Because they just as a demonic, just as evil, just as wicked, just as unaccountable as the predator at that point. Just mental, that's a mental and spiritual perversion. Seriously. And how dare you call yourself a metaphysician saying some stupid shit like that? Or a what did he say? He was a science of mind person. The science of stupidity. You've been reading that science of stupidity book. Stupidity. Because that's stupid ass shit to say. Period. I mean, mm-mm. Yeah. So, anyways, I am just babbling on. So I'm going to babble myself off this video. I just wanted to put this out there because, to support people who find themselves in situations where they're receiving unnecessary opinions. Stay strong in what you know to be right and what you're doing. And as long as you know what you're doing is working, you don't got to worry about what anybody else thinks. Because them same motherfuckers that's confused gonna come back later and be like, yeah, it's working. Yeah. Yeah. Mm. And people that are just ignorant, lack of knowledge because they on baby food and you eat grown food, that's okay. Spiritually speaking, that's okay. They just need to keep their judgments to themselves though, you know, since they not on that level. And yeah, so that's what this video is about. My intentions are to bring awareness, to these things, you know, um, because people in these situations are already going through enough. They don't need that extra bullshit, and then, to bring awareness to what the problems are. People need to see this video. People need to stop thinking things like that in their head about somebody else's sexual trauma, and yeah, so people need this information. And like I said, pardon the profanity, but it is what it is. That is my raw reaction to it. My mom used to curse people out all the time. All the time. So that's what I grew up listening to. She used to listen to music where there was just profanity. She's listening to Too Short and Ice Cube. It's just some cursing people on the songs. She was always cursing, and the songs was always cursing. Of course, I don't always think in profanity, but I was about to say something else, but that's a whole nother video topic. I'm gonna say it because it's relevant to this situation, and I'll expand on it in another video. I think in this day and age, you know, with everything being so interconnected, um, with us being such interconnected beings, I think people need to have more respect for people's boundaries. Like if I'm texting you, I'm texting you. There's really no reason for you to try to communicate with me telepathically or through my dreams or anything like that. Not unless I invited you to. If I didn't, then you're doing too fucking much. And I got a whole video about this. I wrote it out because it bugs me because people prey on people like that. People that don't understand the interconnectedness of all beings through energy and through God's source that we all connected to in one way. They might think that this person is some type of special significant person in their life, or they have some type of special, guidance for them. All kind of levels of manipulation can be taking place because, you know, this is 2020. People can communicate with people via their dreams. They can talk to them telepathically, to the point to where some people might not even be able to differentiate what's what. I got an ear, like this might be some wax in it sometime, but it worked. So, I'm pretty keen on who, what, when, where, and why majority of the time. You know, like if it's not right in that instant, I'll be like, who is that? Like who was that? Oh, you know? And yeah, so that's a whole nother topic, but I'm just gonna throw that in there because it's relevant to the situation. And, you know, people need to be respectful of those that have explored those abilities within themselves, need to be respectful of the method of communication that somebody is choosing to communicate with them in. Now, if I don't show up in your motherfucking dream talking to you, then I don't want you to show up in my fucking dream. Not unless we talking, and obviously, there's an exchange going on where that I've given permission. But if you people know when they don't got fucking permission, they know they just be on some not respecting boundaries. Some just weird, 2020 behavior or 2022. That's where we at right now, supposedly. They just be on the weird ass behavior. I don't do that. I really, 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 really work as best as I can to respect people's boundaries. And then if I feel like I accidentally crossed the boundary, I apologize. Because one time I had a weird situation where I was minding my business and I was visualizing somebody And they were like, stop. And I was like, what you doing over here? This is my space. I ain't over there. I ain't trying to connect with you. What's going on? Then that was a lesson for me about how, just, things can be. Made me think twice about, visualizing about somebody. 'Cause, all of a sudden, that person was there talking, like, giving me an instruction what to do and what not to do. And I was like, hey, this was about me and my fantasy, not really like you, like really, really right now, like you. We was using you as a prototype. That was crazy. I just want to say that because I'm not exempt, to error, learning, and trial. But, people that, just will automatically use their dreams and, their telepathic, the way to communicate with people that did nobody ask them to do that, and then to use it to be manipulative or to try to give somebody some instructions based on their own assumptions or judgment. It's just wrong. It's unnecessary. If I'm communicating with you on text, communicate with me on the text. If I send you an email, send me back an email. Don't be like coming back through a dream or whatever, unless we've been there and we know it's okay. Like we've established that I want you to communicate with me in that way, and that's just kind of like the maturity that people need to have. If the purpose of me saying that is because if the person didn't give you permission to communicate with them that way, then maybe it's not granted, obviously. Or if you guys are not on that page with each other. It's like, come on now. We know when we on a certain page with somebody. Other than that, people are being imposing and intrusive, imposing themselves. You know, just because we have the ability to do something doesn't mean that we should do it. Like talk to somebody and see where they're at. See if that's okay. What type of person they are. And most people don't do that because a lot of humans are masters of manipulation. I'm getting into that in the video. I'm gonna stop. But I'm just gonna say a lot of people don't do that. It's because they want to have a position of power in somebody's life. They want to be a coach or a mentor or somebody that this person, trusts. So they just automatically start communicating with them like that, to build like a level of trust. Because most people are very naive and they think that because somebody showed up in a dream or because somebody communicated with them telepathically, that this must be some type of prophecy and this person must be some type of special person that is in their life to help them. That's a whole nother video I got because sometimes that's not even the case. It's just people utilizing the abilities that they have, period. So I'm going to leave that for that other video to expand on. But, people just need to be careful about what type of thoughts are they having. Are they having thoughts, predatory thoughts? Are they aiding predators in their thoughts? Are they being judgmental to situations that they have no authority to judge on? Are they making assumptions off their own bias and lack of knowledge? Are they trying to be controlling? Are they being intrusive? Are they respecting people's boundaries? These are all the topics of this video. So thank you so much for watching. And like I said, definitely share this video because people need to get this message. It's important. I mean, just beyond like, you know, I've been thinking like, why am I making videos? Beyond me wanting my channel to grow, I definitely want to share and make a difference. I don't think people should be entertaining certain thoughts. And I can't control people, but what we can do as a society is teach people and share. And then those that are willing to take the advice and grow and be better, they will. And those that won't, then they won't. But at least we're doing our part. So, anyhow, thank you for commenting. Let me know how you feel in the comments about what I've expressed. And I appreciate your time and wishing everybody on their self-love journeys. lots of peace, love, and healing.